What happens when life as we know it unravels? When everything we thought was secure suddenly feels like it's falling apart? In these moments of chaos, there's an opportunity for transformation. In today's video, we'll explore timeless wisdom from When Things Fall Apart by Pema Chödrön, an inspiring guide on how to find peace amidst life's most difficult challenges. Chapter 1. Embracing Impermanence. Chödrön begins by reminding us of the impermanence of life. Nothing stays the same. Everything we experience, joy, sadness, comfort, pain, will eventually pass, but instead of resisting this change, she encourages us to embrace it. In embracing impermanence, we open ourselves to the fullness of life, letting go of the need for control. Pema Chödrön begins. When Things Fall Apart by. Reminding us of a fundamental truth, the impermanence of life. Everything we experience, whether it's joy or sadness, comfort or pain, is temporary. Nothing remains the same forever. This concept of impermanence is at the core of Buddhist teachings, but it is also a universal truth that many of us struggle to accept. In our everyday lives, we often cling to what feels secure or familiar. We want to hold on to the moments of happiness and push away the experiences of pain. But Chödrön teaches that resisting change only leads to suffering. By refusing to accept the natural ebb and flow of life, we create tension within ourselves as we try to control what is ultimately uncontrollable. Instead of fighting against impermanence, Chödrön encourages us to embrace it. When we stop clinging to the idea that life should always be stable and predictable, we open ourselves to a more profound experience of living. In embracing impermanence, we learn to flow with life's changes rather than being overwhelmed by them. We begin to see that both joy and pain are transient. They come and go like waves in the ocean. By recognizing this, we let go of the need to control outcomes and allow ourselves to live more freely and fully in the present moment. This shift in mindset can be liberating. Instead of fearing the end of a joyful moment or dreading the onset of pain, we come to appreciate each experience as part of the rich, ever-changing tapestry of life. Impermanence teaches us to be present, to savor the fleeting beauty of each moment without grasping. It also gives us the strength to endure difficult times, knowing that, like all things, they too will pass. By embracing the impermanence of life, we find freedom from the constant struggle to keep things the same. We learn to trust in the natural flow of change, which allows us to release control and live more fully. This acceptance brings a deeper sense of peace as we learn to ride the waves of life's ups and downs with grace and resilience. Only to the extent that we expose ourselves over and over to annihilation can that which is indestructible in us be found. This profound quote from Pema Chödrön's When Things Fall Apart encapsulates the heart of the book's teachings. The word annihilation here is not meant in a literal sense, but refers to the dissolution of our ego, our comfort zones, and the illusion of control we hold on to in life. It speaks to the idea that true growth and strength only emerge when we face the challenges that threaten our sense of self, security, and identity. When life annihilates us through difficult experiences, whether it's loss, failure, heartbreak, or fear, it strips away layers of who we think we are. We're left vulnerable, exposed, and often deeply uncomfortable. However, it's in these moments of rawness that we encounter something indestructible within us, our true essence, a core of strength and resilience that cannot be broken by external circumstances. By repeatedly allowing ourselves to face challenges and open up to the possibility of pain, we shed superficial layers of self-protection. This exposure allows us to discover an inner strength that was previously hidden beneath fears and insecurities. Chödrön's teaching is a reminder that instead of avoiding discomfort, we must embrace it. Only then can we tap into the indestructible qualities of courage, compassion, and resilience that exist within us. This quote encourages us to not shy away from life's difficulties, but to see them as opportunities for transformation, leading us to a deeper understanding of our true nature. Narration Insight. Chödrön teaches us that when we stop clinging to the idea of permanence, we find a deeper, more resilient part of ourselves. Letting go of permanence. Finding inner resilience. Pema Chödrön's teachings emphasize the liberating power of letting go of the illusion of permanence. In When Things Fall Apart, she highlights a truth that many of us find uncomfortable. Nothing in life stays the same. Everything is in constant flux. Relationships, emotions, circumstances, even our sense of self. Yet, as humans, we tend to cling to the idea that certain things will remain constant, whether it's the people in our lives, our achievements, or our sense of identity. This clinging creates suffering because, inevitably, change disrupts our expectations. Chödrön teaches us that when we stop holding on to this false sense of permanence, we unlock a deeper and more resilient part of ourselves. By accepting the impermanence of all things, we develop the flexibility and inner strength to navigate life's uncertainties with grace. Instead of being shaken by change, we learn to flow with it, recognizing that each ending is also a beginning, and each loss opens the door to new possibilities. This shift in perspective allows us to cultivate resilience. When we no longer fear change or fight against it, we become more adaptable, more capable of facing life's challenges. We realize that our true strength doesn't come from the things we cling to, whether it's material possessions, relationships, or even our sense of identity, but from our ability to remain open, present, and accepting of whatever life brings. Letting go of permanence doesn't mean we care less or live passively. Instead, it means embracing the truth of impermanence and, in doing so, discovering an indestructible core of resilience within ourselves, one that remains steady and strong regardless of external circumstances. This inner resilience allows us to experience life fully, without being paralyzed by fear or loss, and to find peace even amidst uncertainty. Chapter 2. The Wisdom of No Escape. One of the most challenging teachings in Pema Chödrön's When Things Fall Apart is the idea of no escape. In moments of discomfort or pain, our natural tendency is to avoid or distract ourselves from the suffering. Whether it's through busyness, entertainment, or emotional numbing, we instinctively try to escape the unpleasantness we feel. However, Chödrön offers a different perspective, one that calls for courage and presence. Chödrön suggests that true healing doesn't come from avoiding pain, but from staying present with it. The concept of no escape invites us to confront our discomfort directly, to sit with our suffering rather than running from it. This teaching challenges the ingrained belief that we must find a way out of pain in order to feel better. Instead, it urges us to turn toward the very thing we want to flee from. By staying present with our suffering, we begin to understand it on a deeper level. Pain becomes a teacher, showing us where we are vulnerable, fearful, or resistant. When we allow ourselves to fully experience discomfort without trying to push it away, we break the cycle of avoidance that keeps us trapped in patterns of fear and denial. This openness to pain doesn't mean wallowing in it or becoming overwhelmed, but rather approaching it with a sense of curiosity and acceptance. Chödrön's teaching of no escape encourages us to see pain not as something to be fixed or eradicated, but as an inevitable part of the human experience that can lead to growth and transformation. When we stop trying to escape, stop, we discover that our suffering holds within it valuable lessons about resilience, compassion, and the impermanence of all things. By staying with our pain, we gradually build the capacity to handle life's challenges with greater grace. We become less fearful of discomfort, knowing that we have the inner strength to face it. In this way, the practice of no escape becomes a pathway to true healing, one that allows us to embrace our humanity in its entirety, both the joy and the sorrow. We block ourselves from growth. It is only by sitting with our discomfort, acknowledging it without judgment, that we can begin to understand its message. When we allow ourselves to feel pain fully, we develop resilience. Resilience doesn't mean avoiding hardship. It means facing it with courage and learning to navigate it. By sitting with discomfort, we become more familiar with our own strength, realizing that we are capable of withstanding more than we might have imagined. Each time we embrace pain rather than fleeing from it, we grow stronger and more adaptable in the face of future challenges. Moreover, sitting with our own discomfort opens the door to compassion, not only for ourselves, but for others as well. When we understand the depths of our own suffering, we become more empathetic to the struggles of others. We recognize that pain is a shared human experience, and this awareness fosters a sense of connection and kindness. Compassion in this context is not about fixing or alleviating another's pain, but about being present with them in their suffering, just as we have learned to be present with our own. By embracing discomfort, we transform it into a source of wisdom. It teaches us to be patient with ourselves, to trust in the process of healing, and to extend that same understanding to others. In this way, the pain we once sought to avoid becomes a powerful teacher, guiding us toward greater resilience and deeper compassion. Chapter 3. Working with fear is a natural part of life, but it often holds us back from growth. Chödrön encourages us to change our relationship with fear, to meet it with openness instead of avoidance. Fear is an inherent part of the human experience. Whether it's fear of failure, fear of the unknown, or fear of loss, it often arises when we face uncertainty or challenge. However, in when things fall apart, Pema Chödrön encourages us to rethink how we deal with fear. Rather than avoiding or suppressing it, she suggests that we meet fear with openness, allowing it to become a catalyst for growth. Most of the time, fear holds us back from taking risks, making changes, or embracing new opportunities. It urges us to stay within the safety of our comfort zones, where we feel in control and protected. But Chödrön teaches that by avoiding fear, we limit our potential for growth. We become stuck in familiar patterns, unable to break free and explore new possibilities. Chödrön encourages us to change our relationship with fear by approaching it with curiosity and acceptance. Instead of seeing it as something to be avoided, we can learn to view fear as a natural, temporary emotion that does not define us. By acknowledging fear without letting it dominate our actions, we cultivate the courage to face life's uncertainties with greater ease. When we meet fear with openness, we create space for growth and transformation. Fear becomes less of a barrier and more of a guide, signaling areas where we need to stretch beyond our comfort zones. As we learn to sit with the discomfort of fear, we become more resilient and adaptable, capable of navigating challenges with greater clarity and confidence. This shift in perspective allows us to embrace the unknown rather than shrink from it. By facing our fears, we open ourselves to new experiences, deeper relationships, and a fuller understanding of life's complexity. Chödrön reminds us that fear is not the enemy. Our resistance to it is. When we stop running from fear and instead welcome it as part of the journey, we unlock our potential for profound personal growth and healing. To be fully alive, fully human, and completely awake is to be continually thrown out of the nest. This powerful metaphor from Pema Chödrön's "When Things Fall Apart" speaks to the essence of personal growth and awakening. To truly live a vibrant and authentic life means constantly being pushed beyond the limits of our comfort zone, repeatedly thrown out of the nest, so to speak. It is in these moments of discomfort and uncertainty that we experience life in its rawest, fullest form. Being thrown out of the nest refers to those times when life forces us to face the unknown, whether it's through unexpected change, loss, or the crumbling of something we relied on. These moments shatter the illusion of stability and control. At first, it feels unsettling, even terrifying, because we are thrust into unfamiliar territory without the safety net of what we've known. Yet, Chödrön teaches that this is what it means to be truly alive. When we remain in the nest of comfort, predictability, and familiarity, we stay sheltered from life's challenges, but also limit our capacity for growth and self-discovery. It's only when we are thrown out, when we face the uncertainties and difficulties of life head-on, that we awaken to our full humanity. To be fully human is to embrace the fact that life is dynamic and ever-changing. It's about accepting that moments of disruption and upheaval are not only inevitable, but necessary for our growth. These experiences force us to let go of old habits, identities, or beliefs that no longer serve us, creating space for new insights and transformations. Chödrön suggests that in the process of being continually thrown out of the nest, we learn to trust in our ability to navigate the unknown. Each time we step into unfamiliar territory, we grow stronger, more resilient, and more compassionate. We discover that we are capable of handling life's unpredictability, and in doing so, we become more fully awake to the present moment. Ultimately, this teaching reminds us that life's discomforts and challenges are not setbacks, but invitations to wake up, to engage with the world more fully, to grow beyond our limitations, and to connect more deeply with our true selves. By embracing these moments of being thrown out of the nest, we step into a richer, more authentic experience of being alive. Facing our fears doesn't mean conquering them. It means understanding them, accepting them, and allowing them to move through us. This courage can only arise when we stop running from fear. And when things fall apart, Pema Chödrön offers a profound perspective on dealing with fear. Rather than viewing fear as something to be conquered or defeated, she suggests that true courage comes from understanding and accepting fear, allowing it to flow through us rather than trying to escape it. Fear is a natural and inevitable part of life, but our instinct is often to resist it. We may try to suppress our fears, distract ourselves from them, or avoid situations that trigger them. This avoidance only serves to amplify the fear as it remains unresolved and continues to influence our decisions and behaviors. Chödrön teaches us that facing our fears is not about conquering them in a dramatic sense, but about acknowledging and embracing them. Understanding our fears means exploring where they come from, what they are trying to tell us, and how they affect our lives. This process involves looking inward and being honest with ourselves about the things we are afraid of. Acceptance is a crucial step. When we accept fear, we stop fighting against it. We recognize that fear is a part of the human experience and that it doesn't define us. By allowing fear to move through us, we create space for it to dissipate rather than holding on to it and letting it control us. This acceptance helps us to experience fear without being overwhelmed by it. True courage arises not from avoiding or defeating fear, but from being willing to face it with openness and honesty. When we stop running from fear, we can approach it with a sense of curiosity and calm. We learn that fear, while uncomfortable, does not have to control our lives. Instead, it becomes an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. By understanding and accepting fear, we develop a deeper sense of resilience and inner strength. We learn to navigate challenges with greater ease and confidence, knowing that fear is a natural part of the journey. This approach allows us to live more fully, embracing the fullness of life's experiences with courage and grace. Chapter 4: Compassion for Self and Others. In times of difficulty, compassion is essential. But Pema Chödrön teaches that true compassion starts with ourselves. Before we can extend kindness to others, we must first learn to be gentle with our own struggles. Pema Chödrön's teaching on compassion highlights a crucial yet often overlooked aspect: the importance of self-compassion.